Alright guys, welcome back. This is the last day with our beautiful animal fantasy fauvist drawings and paintings. Okay, today we're going to talk about defining our edges, boosting some color, and adding analogous colors. Okay, so hopefully you have painted two values in your animal, 1, 2, dark and light. And hopefully you've painted at least two values in your background. Dark value, light value. That's the bare minimum, okay? Some of your backgrounds might look kind of pale. I mean, some of your animals. Say no to outlining yours with marker. That's something that they taught you in elementary school, and now I'm trying to break you of it. That is kind of like for younger kids. So do not take a marker and outline it. Define your edges, but instead use the same color, crayon or marker, to define your edges. Okay, so if I had a colored pencil, I don't want to just draw an edge around here. I'm just going to lightly edge it and maybe even fade it in a little bit. I just want to define my edge without giving it a ton, like a harsh line. Okay, so that's something I can do. If I had a crayon, I could do that too, but I don't want to like push a hard edge. No, I just want to define it so it has an edge. So that's our first thing. Define your edges, but don't outline with marker. Step 2 is boost your shading with crayons or colored pencils. Okay, so you should have shaded at least a dark area and a light area. So what you can do is you can come in with a colored pencil and like maybe go in and give it a little bit more oomph if it's too pale. Especially if you have those glitter watercolors, they're not as like pigmented or not as bold as the regular watercolors. So you're gonna need to give a little boost to your shaded areas, or really anywhere, okay? Now, the third, and you can do that also with crayon, but not a marker. Marker's not happening, okay? And then step 3, add analogous colors, those neighbors on the wheel, to add interest, okay? So let's look. Analogous colors are the ones that are neighboring. So if I pick one that's related or next to, it might be a little bit more interesting to add some flair to it. So if your thing's looking a little bit flat, you can ask me what color, or you can look at your color wheel we did in week 3, or you can Google a color wheel and figure out what's a neighboring or an analogous color that can add some interest, all right? So for my shadow, it was very light here. It was just a light yellow-green. So I moved over to, more like a blue-green or a teal, and I'm going to color my shadow. So it's like a related color, but it's not a wild card color. And then I redid my shadow, okay? If I have red violet, here's red violet. I could add some red to him to make the baby look nice, or some violet. And I'm gonna go violet because that's the color of the mom. So I'm going to increase my shading. And do you see how I'm holding my pencil? I'm using the side. I'm just adding some value. I am not doing lines, okay? I'm just boosting. Maybe here I want to increase some interest to my value there, just making it look more interesting, okay? If you want to add some value to your edge, like we had talked about in step 1, see how I can use that color pencil, and I'm not adding like a hard outline. I'm just kind of shading where I wanted to have some shading, but I'm not putting a harsh outline. I'm just trying to boost it. I'm using a violet because red violet is next to violet on the color wheel. And again, those are analogous colors. I could do this with the paint, but sometimes some kids are not brave enough to do that, or they just can't get enough pigment out of those glitters, okay? How would I do it to the mom? Well, let me look. Mom's violet. I could do red violet or blue violet. I think I'm going to go blue violet. So I'm going to come in and take some blue using the side, adding some blue maybe on my shadows just to increase maybe some of the interest, make it like, bam, a little bit more interesting. Using the side, if I don't like to hold the pencil like that, I can just do light lines, but I don't want to press hard. I'm just trying to give it some more interest with an analogous color, okay? Something else we can do is obviously work in the background, okay? Yellow, green. Maybe in my background, I want to add green, or I want to add yellow, or even I could be, you know, kind of close here or kind of close here, make this more interesting. And then finally, the last thing I want to do is maybe go in with any of the little details around the eyes or anything, okay? So when I looked at the picture of my mom manatee, her eye really looked like a star. I kind of like that. And then it had this shaded space, and you might have been a little too scared to do that with paint, so you can go in now with your colored pencil and do those areas. But we want to make it, remember, we're studying fauvism, okay, the wild beasts of color. I want to see you use some of those analogous or neighboring colors in your animal to really make it a little bit more interesting. So again, you can look at a color wheel on the internet. You could go back to yours that you did in week 3, or you could literally say, Google, what's an analogous color of violet? And it'll tell you. And then of course in class, if you're working on this with me, I would be happy to show you on the color wheel and help you plan that out, okay? But usually they're related and they kind of make sense. And we just want to have some fun and really make it even more wild, wonderful, fauvist fantasy colors. When you get done with that, take it outside or put it near the window and take a good picture of it and upload it into the assignment. And don't forget to answer the questions, okay? I can't wait to see what you do. Bye.